Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I am finally back with another video. This is actually part of the Altenew Color Therapy blog hop. I used Cherished Memories and Amazing You for this card. So many things have been going on since my last video. But anywho, first things first, I moved. So the lighting on this might be a little weird sometimes. I'm still trying to figure out what's the best light here going on. Anywho, this isn't going to be a one-layer card, but I am going to build a background, just a very subtle, soft background. And so I needed a mask. That's what you see me doing there. I used the Eclipse masking tape for that. And then I am stamping this in Mountain Mist ink from Altenew. It's a really pretty soft, like aqua color. And I'm channeling my inner Yanis Makula because she's amazing and I'm always inspired by her. And she does these beautiful pattern backgrounds. And so I decided that I was going to do that. I'm trying to like... This card's still sitting in my light box because I've done nothing since then. But anyway, so I wanted to do the background really subtle, but I also wanted there to be, I wanted it to mimic the focal point. So that's why I needed the mask so I could also stamp the leaves. I am trying to create more of a, I guess, random pattern. If you are stamping a pattern background, you're better off letting parts of it hang over the edge. It then looks more like a continuous pattern. If you start with just like one solid flower in the left-hand corner and build out from there, it looks less organic. So as I'm, stamping them down, I'm just moving my masks as I need to. Since I'm not doing a one-layer card, I didn't need multiple masks. And I really just love the way that this looks when it's over. It kind of looks like just really pretty soft wallpaper. Not that I'm a fan of wallpaper. Have you ever tried to like take that stuff down? It's nightmarish. My mother's like a whiz at it though, because forever we had wallpaper in the house, and honestly still now she's and has like borders in every room. I think probably the more modern take is to just, paint your walls or do an accent color. I'm not interested in doing any of that, quite honestly. It all seems like a lot of work. I asked my son if he wanted to paint his room. He said no, and I sent up a prayer to Jesus because I didn't actually want, I would have painted it for him, but I didn't actually want to. So moving on from there, I'm working, both of these are on Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock. I am stamping in Intense Black ink from Simon Says Stamp because I'm going to be doing some Copic, alcohol ink coloring. I'm using Altenew's artist markers. That's what I'm doing. I'm just so used to saying Copic, so please forgive me. So I'm stamping these out. I'm going to stamp out a couple of more leaves as well. Speaking of Altenew's artist markers, let's talk about sales and giveaways. So, very briefly, I do lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest. You've watched my videos before, you know this. So these sales and giveaways. So this is part of a blog hop. There are giveaways for gift certificates to the Altenew store all along the hop. It will be linked below if you're watching on YouTube. I suggest that you go check that out. Those you can leave a comment on up through July 18th. So you still got 5 days to go, even though I'm late getting this video up. The sale is 15% off artist markers, which is a good deal. And that is through July 15th. So the 12th through the 15th. Today is the 13th. Sorry, I'm getting you up late, but, life happens, people. That's where I'm at. So anyway, as I'm coloring these, I'm doing just little flicks of color from the base of the petal, and then also from the tips of the petals. This is going to help them look more round by leaving that highlight in the center of the petal. Now there's some of them where it just didn't work out that way. The tinier, areas, there wasn't any room to color it and leave a highlight. So just, like I said, I work lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest. So anywho, I moved, and, the house is smaller, but, that's okay. Like it's a little cottage style house. It's totally adorable. It's more than enough for what I need. And like God he just showed up for me. Like honestly, I have never been able to afford something in my hometown. It just, that kind of fit my needs, and like I needed it, and boom, there it was. And it's awesome, and I'm so happy with it. So happy with it. And there's so much more like life discussion that goes on with that, but we can't cover it all in a 20-minute video, y'all. Like we're gonna have to bits and pieces this. So anywho, I basically packed up my entire life in like one night. My best friend, both my sisters, my mom, and my girlfriend from work, her daughter, came over, and we just like pack. I have never really moved. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people, that have moved several times, and I am not envious of you. If you can move like it ain't no thing, you're amazing. Like, let's all just have a slow clap moment of kudos for those people, because that ain't me. In college, that was pretty much the only time I quote unquote moved, but I didn't even really move because all the stuff was new. You know what I mean? It's not like I was taking really anything from home besides like clothes. Everything else was new. I lived in an apartment, just slightly off campus with my best friend. And I'm like my best friend from high school. Like I didn't get a new college best friend. I just kept the same one I had because she already knew all my secrets. It seemed safe. So then from there, I lived with my parents. I mean, outside of college, like hadn't lived anywhere outside of that except with my parents until I got married. And then when I got married, I've explained to you guys before, like we live in a commune. So it was maybe 5 minutes. So I didn't even have to like pack up everything I own and move it all in one fell swoop. I just basically brought it over kind of like piece by piece really slowly. And half of my stuff, God love my parents, is probably still in their crawl space. Like, let's be honest. And if you are a parent who has children who are older, you can probably relate to that. Like, I did not take all of the things. I left half of the things there for my poor parents to store. Because that's just, I didn't have room for it. But anyway, so that was Friday night. Packed up everything, and then Saturday morning, the guys I work with and the rest, my family, showed up to help me move everything. Like, those boys hustled. I mean, they were amazing. So amazing. We started at 8 a.m. They had everything to this house and off the truck, and I almost knocked stuff over. Did you hear that? That would have been sad. But they had everything like done off the U-Haul in 2 hours. And then they helped me set a bunch of stuff up. So that was so awesome. And I think that sometimes when life gets really hard and there's things that are happening in your life that you don't necessarily understand why God has brought you to this place, it's so important to pay attention to the blessings that you have. And I am so very blessed. I have this new job opportunity. I have this new home, silver lining, totally get to reorganize my craft room, which was basically, I don't know, like a hazmat disaster area where I was living. So that's something that's totally new. Just a lot of change in my life right now, and a lot of really hopeful things on the horizon. And so I'm excited about all of those things. And so that's just where I'm at. So anyway, you watched me color this whole flower. I didn't tell you a thing about what I was doing. But anywho, I just repeated the same steps over and over again, adding the darkest colors where it would be the darkest. You want to make sure when you're doing the flicks of color that you're following the shape of the petals. That's important. And then for this center, I have a little bit of regret here because I wish that I would have taken the reddish pink. By the way, I totally wanted these to be more pink. And then you saw how heavy-handed I got with the shading, and now this flower's red. Whatevs. But anyway, I wish that I would have taken it over the like stamen area, the center of the flower, because it just looks, as I'm adding the shading into the center, it just looks really blocky. And I'm going to come back and try to fix that later. I don't even know if that's on film, honestly. I just added some more of the red in just because it felt so like one of these things doesn't belong. So anyway, then from there, we're going to move on to the leaf. We're just going to color one leaf. I'll do the rest of them off camera. This blue set is actually part of the set A. I used all 3 sets, but this one's part of the set A. And the reason that I want to comment on it is because the caps are blue, very clearly blue. You can see them, they're blue. But when you color it, it is definitely more of a blue-green. So that's one of those things where when you're, I guess, looking for, before you buy something, like look at swatches of it and not just, you know, like the caps. I mean, the same thing is true for Copics or Spectrum Noir. Like they try to get as, I guess, as close as they can with the caps, but it never really looks like the color. So for the shading for the leaves, I love how they all have these, even the flowers, like they have these super detailed lines. I think this would be so beautiful, white heat embossed and watercolored. If you have this set, girl, do that. Do that. It will be so pretty. But anyway, I just kind of did the little flicks of color from the definitely dark along the middle, the inside. But then I added just a few flicks of color from the outside too, just to give it a little bit more movement. I wanted the color to be, you know, variated. I didn't want it to be like this solid wall because of the way that I colored the flower with all of those like striations that are in there. I wanted them to kind of be friends and go together and look like they belong. So that's basically it for the coloring, except I remember how I told you I wanted it to be more pink. That's not what happened, but I did pull out a very pale like lavender color and I added that to the flower. And then I liked that much better because if you watch my videos, you know, red and green to me are Christmas, straight up Christmas. Now I realize that's crazy talk because there's plenty of things out in nature that are red and green together and they're complementary colors and they look very nice that have nothing, zero things to do with Christmas, but I just can't help it. That's how my brain works. Brain sees red and green, it says Christmas. So once I added that little bit of purple in, now I'm going to outline all of my images with an EK Success journaling pen because that's how I roll. And so I outlined all of those, including the flowers. And then I wanted to kind of highlight these little stamen areas in the flowers. And so I'm doing that by adding the white dots with a white gel pen. What, Kelly? What other color would they be if the gel pen was white? Is it a multicolored gel pen? No, it is not. Anyway, talking is hard. So I am going to fussy cut these out because I want to pop them up. There are dies for this set. I just don't own them. And I don't know that I would use them for this particular style of card, even if I did own them, because my background already is so white. I am, like I said, fussy cutting them. So I found my scissors too. Another added bonus to the move because I lost them. I lost my Fisker scissors and I had no idea where they went. And then lo and behold, Christmas miracle, like a daisy out of the snow, they have magically reappeared. Once I'm done with fussy cutting, I am just using a Memento Tuxedo black marker. You want to make sure you're not using an alcohol marker for this. Use a water-based marker. And I'm just kind of going around and adding that to the edges of my fussy cut images. This is going to give it a much more clean look, especially anywhere that maybe I didn't get the smoothest cut. So through all the flowers and the leaves, doing that. And then, okay, so this is funny. All right, I'm going to heat emboss this. This is terrible. This is why you buy quality supplies. Straight up. This is the example. You're going to see it. And so I could not find my black Simon Says stamp cardstock. It's in this room somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So I did find a black piece of cardstock, which is from, I think it was like the off-brand at like Michael's or something. And so I'm like, I'll just use this. It'll be fine. I did not link to this because it is so horrible. I beg of you, do not buy this. Do not purchase it. Random interruption by my child. Continuing. Anyway, stamped in Versamark ink after I treated it with my embossing buddy, that I'm using white Simon Says Stamp embossing powder to put that on. I'm going to heat set it. Now watch as I try to heat set it. Like, do you see how floppy? It's just like the floppiest cardstock. It is so thin. It was so difficult to get a good result. Like, this is why you buy quality cardstock, people. Like, honestly, for a long time, you know me, I'm a cheap chicken. Cheap, cheap, cheap. I have no issue with that. But there are certain things to spend money on. Your cardstock is one of them. It's literally what your card is made out of. Anywho, so I linked to the Simon Says Stamp black because that's way better quality, just way better. So I started building this thing going on here. I wanted the sentiment to kind of be surrounded, like, well, not surrounded, but by the flowers. I wanted the flowers to kind of set off the sentiment. And so I laid it all out, and then I am gluing down the leaves with Tombow Mono multi-glue, and I'm just kind of holding the flowers in place as I do that, just again for placement purposes. And then I'm going to pop the flowers up. So I'm going to put this the more cupped one, like the less open one, down first, and then I'm going to put the larger bloom over it. So then, but as I was building it, so like getting the foam tape all on there, it didn't really occur to me that my flower was going to overlap my other flower. And it is, or it would look a little bit strange as an arrangement. So I cover the entire thing with my Scotch foam tape, and then I go to put it on there, and I realize that ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. So I just pulled it back off. Thankfully, it didn't rip my paper at all. And then I put glue on that portion so that it would sit flush with the other flower, but still be on top. I'm going to do the same thing with the heat embossed sentiment. I'm going to put glue on one part of it as soon as I figure out which part that needs to be. And then I will pop up the other side with foam tape. This was a pretty simple card to kind of pull together. An interesting one to be my first one back, because it's me, but it's a little bit different. It's a little bit softer, and I really like it. I like the way that it came out. So I was because like I told you I'm cheap. I told you I'm so cheap. Now so I'm reusing that foam tape that I took off before. So once I was happy with where the sentiment was, which by the way is the sentiment not amazing. Make today so amazing, yesterday gets jealous. I mean, come on. Oh, I'm all about the encouragement cards right now. Just all about them. Here I picked out some clear sequins. These are from Neat and Tangled. And it's the multi-pack, so a bunch of different sizes. I'm going to put those down with the Tombow Mono multi-glue, and then I always like to kind of fill them up with some glossy accents, so I know that if I mail them, which we all know is never going to happen. Come on. I mean, some things are just facts. Anywho, that if I ever decide to mail them, that the sequins will hold up in the mail. And then the last thing that I did was use a ridiculous amount of shimmer pen on the flowers. Just, I mean, like, I coated this bad boy and then coated it again and was like 3rd time's a charm. But yeah, that's it. So the link to the blog will be below if you're watching on YouTube, as well as the link to the sale. Please go check those things out. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to be back really soon with another video. Bye.